May God's peace and blessings be upon us all. The time has come for the people of God to speak to the people of God. God's holy word is a biblical perspective on the times and the events of today. And as always, we are the new media and we are the true media. For if you go back and do your homework, you will remember that we advised you first about Vivek Ramaswamy being fired once he made that bonehead statement about preferring the prom queen over the nerd or something of that nature. Basically, when he attacked American society, we told you first that he had gotten himself fired just by making those statements. And it's not as a point to brag or to boast, it's just as a point for me to remind us all that we need to be aware of what is going on around us as believers. We need to be aware of the things that are going on in our country. And we need to always seek knowledge. And at times, that means that you have to look past the narrative that is being painted. So, as we come again on tonight, we're going to discuss the DEI plane crash part two. Coming off of the first initial DEI plane crash, which was the DC plane crash that happened on January 31st, immediately following that, what is the first thing that happens? Well, the first thing that happens is that immediately following that tragedy, and as always, we want to pray for the families and all of those that were impacted because it is truly a tragedy anytime someone loses their life, especially in an accident that may have been preventable or that may not have been preventable. But anytime someone loses loved ones, that is a time where we need to indeed send our sympathy and our condolences to those that are involved. And so, as we go forth, my job is to simply educate you, to make you aware of the things that are going on around you, to entertain you perhaps, so that we will keep you focused and keep you logged into the show, and to evangelize you, which is to give you a word from the Lord on a daily basis, perhaps to keep you motivated as you go through your week, or perhaps just to give you a good word that may be needed as the day begins. As always, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe because we're on a mission to make America righteous. And so, with that, let us discuss what has happened now in Philadelphia. Because following the plane crash in D.C. that happened on January 31st, we turn around on January 29th. We turn around on January 31st, and there is another plane crash where a small plane crashes inside of a Philadelphia neighborhood. And if you've seen the pictures and the sites online, I'm sure that you've seen that there's fire and there is indeed a big explosion that was recorded, I believe, on someone's ring phone. And I believe it was two confirmed dead and some people that were hurt on the ground. And so, with that being said, what happened between that time? Well, what happened between that time is that Donald Trump decided that he was going to suddenly sign a number of executive orders to effectively take control of the AAF. And by doing so, he took control of this department, which is the same department that his friend Elon forced the FAA director to resign. And then Trump turned around and gutted the FAA department, and it was undermanned, and there was no leadership that was there. And so I ask us as citizens, who owns this accident? Just something for us to think about, especially coming off of the heels of the DC plane crash. Because coming off of the heels of the DC plane crash, he signed these executive orders. And when he signed these executive orders, he has effectively put someone else in power and in control who would be in charge of the department. And the most important thing that we have to remember is that their concept of competent is that they're going to put in power heterosexual white men, which is nothing wrong with that if that person has the experience and is capable of doing the job. I don't feel as though there's any problem with any race doing the job as long as they are experienced and competent in doing the job. The bigger question is, can you do the job? And so, from my understanding, And if we listen to Donald Trump, because it's all over the media when he did this big executive order signing, because he wanted us as American citizens to understand that the cause of these plane crashes was DEI incompetence. Even though we know that that is not true, because we know that if we were to go back and do statistics on every plane crash that has ever happened in America, I'm quite sure that the majority of the people who were pilots or who were in that tower, I'm pretty sure they were white males. I'm pretty sure there were very few minority pilots, very few minority people inside of the tower. So if we were to do statistics, I'm pretty sure the statistics would bear a different result from what is actually being said in the media. Which is why I say to us, we have to sometimes look beyond the narrative that is being written to us. Because, as they say in the old days, a mouth will say anything. So people will tell you anything knowing that it is false and not caring whether or not you know that it's not the truth. That is just what people do. Everything that is said in the news is not inherently true. And so as a result of that, Donald Trump said, and he promised the American people that these type of plane accidents would never happen again. He said that it was total incompetence. And so he has named Chris Ruchello as the new head of the FAA. He's rolled back all DEI appointments, and he said that he's going to have, verbatim, his exact words, were the most competent people. And he said that Chris Ruchello was a very capable guy. As he sat there and signed his executive orders that were handed to him by his man maid and explained to him by his man maid, and then he signed them. He signed an aviation safety order and said that he would have the most outstanding people. The most outstanding people. And yet, we have another plane crash. And so I say to the American society, now, who is to blame? Per Donald Trump's own words, he said that this was incompetence. He said that Obama was incompetent. He said that Biden was incompetent. And here we stand going into plane crash 2, all the way to the next plane crash 3. And yet, Biden and Obama, if they were incompetent, then I feel as though there is a need to add another name to the list of incompetence. And that name would have to be Trump. So the incompetence list would now be Obama, Biden, and Trump, if we're playing the game based on the way the cards have been dealt. He said that this should not have happened. Donald Trump said that this was not going to happen again. He was not going to let this happen again. And we have 2 more plane crash incidences. So I say to us, who is to blame? But I will tell us, the people, let us keep our eyes open, because there's a much bigger game that is going on than all of the executive orders and all of the political jargon that is being tossed upon society to keep you busy, to keep you deflected, and to keep you distracted from what is really going on. Because there is always a rule that is a given rule that comes from the streets, but it especially relates to business as well as to life. Keep your eyes on the money. And with that, I say to us, help us make America righteous. Help us make the world righteous. This is God's holy word. Please like, share, and subscribe, as now it is time for us to evangelize. And as always, another verse for another day upon this earth, one for the people. Today's verse will come from Romans chapter 2 at verse 1. Romans chapter 2 at verse 1. and we will be using the King James Version. Romans chapter 2 and at verse 1, and it reads on this wise: Therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever thou art that judgest, for wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For thou that judgest doest the same things. That is for you, my people, for us to remember that we have to be careful about the things that we say about people and the judgment that we place upon them. Because it is a noted fact that usually the characteristics that we dislike in someone else are usually the characteristics that we identify with, we see, and we understand, because those characteristics are also characteristics that are in us. So we often dislike something that we are within ourselves. And so, with that, I say to you again, please like, share, and subscribe. Because if you share the know, then the show will grow. And if you share the know, then the word will go. As always, all of your superstars, super chats, sponsorships, all of your subscriptions, all of those will be used to further the gospel. We used to keep us aware, for I would not have you, my brethren, not be aware. So, what I say to you on today is help us make America righteous. God's holy word. And may God bless you and keep you.